Well, here I am now at David the Rector's church in Chesterfield, and before we went into the church, he started to explain that people used to take photographs of this monument to a George Stephenson. Stephenson spelled differently and a younger person, but people got confused with the two George Stephensons. Actually, our George Stephenson was buried inside the church.
Well, a little bit later, and if you look at his age,
Younger.
as well, quite a lot younger. In fact, that's people sometimes think that that's actually the chimney of a steam locomotive, and it's actually been broken off the top, but it's not.
No.
It's a pillar. This was actually done quite often in the 19th century. A pillar like that, with no top, represents a life cut short.
Ah, fancy.
But again, you have to look at the spelling. Stevenson.
That's right. It was not the
and
P.
it's PH.
Right.
And we actually, because we were having people having their photos taken next to this, we actually put that plaque down.
This is not George.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
George. Oh, he's inside the church.
He's inside the church, and actually,
he's nice and cosy.
Well, I have to tell you now, it's no big deal in here.
Right.
So you'll have to prepare to be disappointed.
It's a lovely church.
Right.
I'm not disappointed.
It won't be right straight away, because these things take a few minutes to warm up.
I'm not disappointed at all.
It's all right.
I mean, that's a fantastic roof truss. Are they called hammerhead? Right.
Okay.
I'm interested in the window.
Yes.
And the organ.
The organ is there.
Yeah. It was made in Newcastle.
Right. It still works, but it squeaks a bit.
Right.
The window was put there by Robert.
By Robert.
And if you look closely, you'd be able to see it better a bit nearer.
Right.
But, it just looks like S's from here, but it's actually GS interwoven.
Oh, like I can see them like a snake.
Yeah, that's actually the initials GS.
Right.
And that's a memorial window to George.
Right. I mean, obviously George lived in the big house as a Tapton.
He lived in Tapton House.
And so was he the only big house in the area, or or was it an affluent area?
I mean, this land actually originally belonged to the Duke of Devonshire, but then quite a lot of North Derbyshire belongs to the Duke of Devonshire. I mean, he owns a lot of land in North Yorkshire as well. I don't know whether it goes as far as Newcastle, but certainly in North Yorkshire, around Bolton Abbey and round there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now the tomb is here.
Oh,
this is the disappointing bit, because that's all there is.
Right. So he's physically underneath there. Right. And so what was this? Was the wooden?
This would already have been here.
Right.
This is what we call the screen.
Right.
Well, it doesn't actually screen anything. It's just what you call the.
So which way is he lying then?
Well, we don't actually know, and nobody I've spoken to seems to know either. In fact, it's even possible that he was put in upright.
Standing up?
Yeah. Because be careful.
It's not big enough for the.
You see, that's right up to the wall.
Yeah.
Now, have they slipped him under, or have they just dropped him down? We don't know.
Fancy.
It is possible that he was. I mean, it's the only body that's buried inside the church.
Yeah. And this was put in later.
That was put here. It's an interesting story behind this one, because it actually says Institute of Mechanical Engineers. It should actually say Institution of Mechanical Engineers, but they couldn't fit all that on.
All right.
So they called it the Institute instead. I mean, people sometimes think that's actually where he's buried. But
Yeah, you would presume that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think he would be
No. Well, you see, when I'm
underneath the foundation.
when I'm presiding at Holy Communion, I actually stand here.
Right.
So I would actually be standing on him.
You'd be standing on his head. You'd be standing on his head. So anyway.
The early church in Wales, didn't they bury bodies vertically?
They did, yes. It is a known practice.
Is it?
Particularly if they were short of space, but of course they weren't short of space here. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he definitely is buried upright. I don't know, but it's a possibility. Now, there's also that plaque there, which is actually in memory of his. I think that was his second wife.
Yes.
He married again. He married his housekeeper.
And so.
But he only lived another 2 years himself.
So where's she buried?
I don't actually know. There's no obvious place in the churchyard, although there haven't actually been any burials in the churchyard since the 1860s. And there are no recognisable memorials to her in the churchyard.
Right. Of course, yes, it was his second wife because his first wife died early.
His first wife died early, and she was actually his first love. But her father wouldn't allow her to marry him because back then he wasn't anybody.
Right.
By the time his first wife had died, he was somebody.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think she was of age where she could decide for herself.
Right. Right.
I mean, it wasn't uncommon in those days to get through 2 or 3 wives.
No. No. It was George's sister who brought up Robert, really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
nice woodwork.
It is.
Good quality.
Yeah.
So, did George pay money into the church?
Well, his wife, Elizabeth, that would be, I think, or it might have been his third wife. I'm not sure. Looking at the dates. Just a minute, let me think. I've said 1846. I'm getting confused with my previous church. I should have said 1837, I think, for the building of this church. It'll tell you in there anyway.
Right.
Yeah, 1837. So yes, it would be her. She worshipped here regularly.
Right.
He not so much. So maybe he did. He would have given some money to the church.
Get many visitors.
Quite a few for the George Stephenson thing. Yes.
Because it changed the world. The man.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. He had the vision.
It wasn't just the railways; it was also the coal mines. In fact, the railways were built for the coal mines to begin with. Really, he did a lot at Clay Cross. In fact, over here.
So, is there anything there left of what he did at Clay Cross?
There are things at Clay Cross. Actually.
Oh, there's that's the locomotion.
That's a locomotion, rockets.
Right.
We have this little table for the kids actually, because we get schools coming. And
there's
George with the Clay Cross Company.
Oh, right. And this here.
Oh, that's something else. That's it was
hospital.
It was
During the First World War.
Yeah.
So there's a replica there at Beamish Museum of that one. I've seen the original of that one in the Science Museum.
Yeah, and they've got a replica in York as well.
Yeah.
But I think the original wasn't actually that colour.
Well,
some of the early pictures show it in a different.
Well, that boiler looks as if it's like it's covered with wood. Do you know?
Yeah.
The one in the museum doesn't have that on it.
No.
It's funny. But the main engine was built in Newcastle, but this part was built in Liverpool. Landed its days in Stanhope rocket. Yeah. So anyway, David, so I would like to see is there anything written on the organ to say where it was built or? And it still works. So that's a 3 manual.
3 manual.
And it still works.
It still works.
And so it would be electrified at some point. This is made of bracket and...
I mean, we don't use it every week. We tend to use the electric.
Right. Yeah.
It's a bit of an oddity, really.
It looks like it's been put in later.
Well, nobody seems to be quite sure. There's even the possibility that there was a balcony around the sides as well.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually see various what might have been original supports for it. The interesting thing, if we go through, I can show you what it is. The original church used to go under here. We've turned this into a lounge now. But we used to have pews right up to this back wall.
Right.
And through here,
Oh.
that's a kitchen now, but this used to be the clergy vestry.
Oh, right.
And that is part of the memorial to the first vicar,
Right.
Alexander Poole.
Right. So this is obviously very recent.
The kitchen we've just had, well, I mean, there was a kitchen before, but we've just had it refurbished as a kitchen.
Right. This is to the first vicar.
Those are the toilets through that now, but if we go back through here, there used to be 2 entrances to the church. The smart entrance was there.
Right.
But you'll work out that's where the toilets are now. You can go through that way.
Right.
May we use the toilets?
Are they work in order?
Oh yes, yeah. That was the smart entrance.
That was
Now we only have one entrance now, and it's here, which is where we've come in. Now, what you'll notice here is these are the stairs up to the balcony.
Right.
And you'll see that from this side, suddenly things are very Spartan.
Right.
Now, the hospital, as was across the road, part of the original building is still there, although fronting the road it's modern builds. That was originally the workhouse, the Chesterfield Union Workhouse. And they used to bring people over from the workhouse to the church.
In the back, no.
And they would have, I think they would have taken them up there.
They would
have sat up in the, they wouldn't have been down here.
No.
And in fact, there are a lot of people buried in the churchyard from the workhouse in unmarked graves, and we don't even know how many there are, but there are several thousand.
Oh dear.
Yeah. They were buried further down the hill, and then when the churchyard was full, they buried them at Christ Church, which is up Sheffield Road, which is the road down at the bottom. They reckon that there are somewhere in the region of 6,000.
So a lot of them would come from this workhouse.
Yeah. The original workhouse building, well, actually, that building there was the workhouse offices.
Right.
That's where the master of the workhouse was.
Nice looking building.
And then, if you go a little bit further along and just look back behind the newer buildings, The original workhouse is still there. It's been turned into flats now.
Right.
It was actually the Scarsdale Hospital, which was the Chesterfield Hospital, but they've built a new hospital out of town.
It's a new hospital.
Um,
So up
and
until
this is-
quite recently.
Until quite recently, yes.
And so probably the
They would have gone up.
gallery was
The gallery
put on
would
and
be
for,
for them. That's what I think, anyway.
yeah.
And interestingly, when you go up there, you can't actually, certainly if you're sitting down, you can't see what's going on down here.
Oh,
So presumably if you can't see what's going on,
cannot
they
see
can't
them.
see you.
That's the way to be.
That's how it was. It was terrible. I mean, I feel ashamed that such things went on
Well,
in church.
that's the way it was
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the workhouses were pretty bad. I think things were a bit better before
They
the
were,
workhouses.
although in the context of the time, they probably weren't significantly worse than the way people lived outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly if you're poor enough to need the workhouse, the alternative would be begging on the streets. And one of the things I always say to the children is, however uncomfortable these pews might be, when this church was first built, they were quite luxurious.
Yeah.
That was actually more comfortable than people would have had in many houses.
At home. And so all the pews in that are original
I think
from
pews are
the
original,
time.
yes.
that
They're still
it
in
was-
very good condition, actually.
Yeah. Yes, it's a nice and it's very wide. The church is very wide. And
auditorium.
Yeah, the pews used to come back to here, but as I say, we screened it off, and this is a lounge now.
right.
We use this for smaller meetings and also for coffee after the services. And we also use it for the Sunday school, because despite the fact we've got a huge building.